Hey there everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while as I've been away on not one but two trips, one to Spain and one to Poland. I've been very lucky this year. And today I want to share with you my thoughts on using a dried gouache in this portable palette and the Royal Talens Art Creation sketchbook. I also want to dive into a few of my insights on how I found inspirations for my sketches and how I kept my art practice going. So let's start with art materials, as this is usually the most exciting part. For many trips in the past, I used to take watercolors with me in a very similar palette to this one, but this year I decided to try something different. As I started to paint with gouache more often than I use watercolors recently, I decided to try to take it with me on these two trips. The gouache paint I use comes in tubes, and they are not very practical or portable to take with you. But I decided to try and squeeze the paint into these watercolor half pounds, and I placed them in this portable palette by Meeden. As you may know, gouache paint has some chalk in it, so when it dries, it cracks and then it will crumble eventually. Therefore, what I had to do is I had to spray it from time to time with water, or I later realized that I can simply just use my water brush and every other day or so just squeeze few droplets into each paint well, and that's how I kept these paints workable. And I must admit, it worked. As you can see, they are still more or less intact. They certainly workable. The kind of pinkish red was the most problematic one, but luckily it's not the color that I use very often. I use quite a lot of these paints, so you can see that some of them are running quite low, so I'm going to probably top them up a little bit soon. But for most part they worked really well, and I am very happy with this method. Now let's talk about Sketchbook. So this is, as I mentioned, Art Creations by Royal Talens. It is a square format and is the first square sketchbook I've owned, and I was actually curious how this is going to work for me, but I'm happy to report that it worked very well. It allows me to create small one-page sketches like this one, but I could also use it in the landscape orientation or in a portrait one as well. So that worked really well for me. And although the paper seems quite thin in comparison to other sketchbooks I used in the past, it actually holds the water very well, and it hasn't buckled too much, and it worked pretty well with my use of gouache and water, and I think it will work with watercolors equally well. So these are my sketches from the summer. This is the first one from Spain. They are very simple and quick. Many of them took less than 15 minutes, definitely less than 30 minutes. We stayed in a small tourist place about an hour south from Barcelona called Calafell. And it was quite busy during the summer holidays, with lots of families and holiday makers staying there. But it was still very pleasant, and it was full of these kind of smaller boutique hotels and apart hotels, which I tried to sketch here. I did struggle to find inspiration to start with. It was very hot and we didn't do any sightseeing, but I realized that actually focusing on the simple things and zooming into a single subject helped me a lot, and I was able to create these very quick sketches quite efficiently. This is my attempt to create a kind of urban sketch of one of the narrow streets there. So I very much simplified things and kept it very quick and simple, just blocking in some colors and using the lines. You may notice that the color palette is very limited as well, which I think it helps and ties everything up and makes it a little bit more attractive to look at. So in a lack of inspiration, what I found it helped me a lot was zooming in on things, so trying to find inspiration in a close-up items and subjects. Moving on to Poland, I found a lot more inspiration there. We stayed in the middle of the forest. Here are some sketches from the forest. We stayed in a holiday cabin there, and there were plenty of trees, flowers and butterflies to sketch. Here are some late summer flowers and plentiful of trees and ferns, and the heathers just started to blossom and there were lots and lots of butterflies. These animals were found either in the forest or in the garden. Some wild strawberries, and like I said, there were plenty of butterflies there. So this is it. I hope you found these insights and tips helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this short video. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop me a line in the comment below. Thanks very much for watching, and I see you in the next video.